This is a podcast about one woman's mission to help entrepreneurs and business owners write better business books. Each week, we tackle your writing excuses, because there are excuses too, and help you beat the blank page of doom so that you can write the book that'll grow your life and your business. Now here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. I'm Vicky Quinn Fraser, and this week I am talking to Rachael Kay Albers, who is the Saturday Night Live of business comedy and business, and she is a very colourful, very funny, very passionate woman, and I am talking to her today about burning everything down and basically putting the world to rights, starting with the little things that we can do for ourselves, taking back control over what we do, taking back agency over what we do in business. We talk about what's wrong with business, we talk about what's right with business, and we talk about monetizing your pain. We go pretty deep today, and it was an absolute pleasure to interview Rachael, and I think you're going to find this eye-opening, energizing, and yeah, maybe you'll think, oh, that's a lot. It is a lot. Listen, see what you think. See what you think about your business and where you want it to go, and the book that you want to write after you're done. Enjoy. Hi, Rachael Kay Albers. Welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm overwhelmed with glee and pride and delight and anxiety. All of the feelings are here today. Thank you for having me.
And I see you, I hear you. Also loving your t-shirt and your cup.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm an unladylike queen is what's going on here. My mug says queen, my shirt says it, my boots say unladylike. And I say, I agree. I accept this endorsement. I approve this endorsement.
Yeah, Unladylike Queen is going to be my new goals. My
band name, Unladylike Queen. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble with the actual queen, but you know what? Take it up with my lawyer.
Exactly. Okay, so there are so many things that I want to talk about today, but we're going to have to limit them to 50 or 60, otherwise we're going to run out of time. So for people of listening to my podcast who do not know who you are, could you just give us a potted, who the hell are you, RKA?
Well, that hurts my feelings. How do you not know? I'm upset already, okay? So we're starting this relationship off a little bit on a bad foot, but that's okay. I'm RKA, otherwise known as Rachael Kay Albers, when you're in the mood to just say the whole thing. And I'm a business comedian and a brand strategist. I've run a brand agency for 12 years. And I'm also a mess, and I'm monetizing it. I'm mid-monetization of my own pain, / I'm writing a book, and I'm kind of destroying my own business publicly. So for those of you who don't know me, whoever you thought I might have been based on whatever you Googled just now, you don't know. Okay, you don't know. Look deeper. So is that enough? Is that good? Does that work? Does that work?
That's perfect. And it gives us a jumping off point as well for monetizing your own pain, because I just, first of all, just made me laugh, which probably isn't the appropriate response. But also, I'm one of my big things is let's tell our stories, let's do the things that we want to do, and let's not fucking worry too much about what other people are going to flap at us in the background. So my first question is really gossipy. How much shit are you getting from people for this?
A lot, actually, pretty much. Yeah, I'm clearing out. I'm clearing out my life. Basically, it's I'm condoing. No, my friends and my family are Marie Kondoing themselves. They're like, you know what, RK, you don't bring us joy, so we're just going to leave. And I'm like, hey, that sounds good. Thank you for, I've delegated my own, the clearing of the space, right? So yeah, I'm getting a lot of shit from my industry, from my family, from my friends, from people who thought that they knew me. And what they knew before this kind of new and improved version was me behind veils and layers of what I was of brag, if you will, of costumes, of wigs, of performance, a performance of myself based on what other people told me I should be. And that was pretty much me until about a month and a half ago. And I'm not even kidding about that. So you're really getting me at a juicy time, Vicky. But so yeah, they're unhappy because, and it's a little hard for me, to be honest with you, because I'm oh, this is actually the real me. And it's very clear that you don't like that at all. You really want me to be the old me, which was the fake me. And that sucks. But hey, here we are. I'm get out. Get out now while I'm young, while I'm still sexy, while I still got it. I have energy, I got to go fill my life with cool people now,
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, Tell me about the monetizing of this stuff. Why are you doing this? What is behind this for you? Because this intrigues me. I love the idea of being super honest, and I love the idea of not allowing other people to dictate who you are, and that's spilling into your business. So
Yes.
tell me more about that.
And I feel like in order to really tell the story, we have to define what this is, right? What is this? So, 12 years I've built a brand studio, a brand agency where I help people build their businesses, craft and shape their brand messaging, their design, their identity, their communications online. And I've done that for 12 years, and I've worked with hundreds of clients and helped thousands of people, in this time. And I've been telling people, when I tell this story, I say the Monday after the coup in the United States, when there was a coup attempt here in January of 2021, I woke up and after 12 years of working weekends and even working in the hospital after my child was born and always putting my clients' needs first, I literally couldn't open my computer anymore. I couldn't do it. I was like, I cannot do it. Physically could not do it. Emotionally, financially, spiritually, every part of me. So long story short, in that moment, I decided I'm going to stop taking clients in the agency. I'm going to start transitioning over to the side that I've been nurturing for years anyway, which is my personal brand, which gives me a lot more freedom to be honest with my audience about how I really feel about business, because I'm no longer afraid that my truth is going to scare away clients. Okay. Now it's about actually attracting people with that truth versus hiding it and then sneaking it in. Because what I've been doing in terms of how I approach my business for the last 12 years is I've been sneaking the truth in behind the lie that I sell people, because it's like they don't want to buy the truth, right? Okay, so flash forward, I give up clients, and then shortly after that, a bunch of things start happening. I decide to write basically a Me Too letter to my whole family about abuse and my abuse in my family growing up that has been ignored for 36 years. I do that. I estrange myself from pretty much my entire family, which is big for me because I'm an extrovert and community is big. So that's when that happens. Then I'm like, in the midst of all of this, I'm losing friends, I'm gaining friends, things are happening. I'm going viral at the same time. That happened in the middle of all of this. Went viral a couple of times. And so it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. And then finally I wake up one day and I'm like, no, I didn't wake up. I had a 7-hour fight with my husband. I'm not even kidding. 7-hour fight that was pretty much a monologue. And I'm pretty sure you can believe that that's true based on what you're experiencing right now, right? So 7 hours of monologuing at my husband, basically, which was what I realize now was me convincing myself why I had to divorce him, finally. And I'm like, I didn't marry this man because I loved him. Not that he's a nice guy. I'm not going to say he's a horrible person, but I didn't marry him because I loved him. I married him because I didn't love myself. And I wanted somebody else to do the job for me. Okay, I'm getting a divorce. So all these things are happening. I'm shutting down my agency, kind of. I'm, estranging myself from my family and everyone I've ever loved and known. I'm deciding to divorce my husband, right? And then, Vicky, let's get to the book. It was 2 days after I said to my husband, that's it. I'm out. That I was in the shower. I was thinking about Rachael Hollis. I was thinking about how am I going to tell my audience that I'm getting a divorce? Because everyone thought we were couple goals until a few weeks ago. They were all like, you guys are so in love. I'm like, you don't know. I'm like, branding is what I am. I can make it look like we're in love, and that's what I've done. And now I'm done with that. I'm sick of it. And I thought, how am I going to be honest with my audience about my divorce? Am I going to wait a year and then tell them once we're pretty much divorced, or what's going to happen? And I was in the shower and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if instead of doing what I perceive that Rachael Hollis did with her big brand, and I'm talking about her brand, not her person, her humanity. I'm talking about her as a brand. I perceived that she knew she was getting divorced for a long time and used her audience and her platform to monetize it, but tricked people into thinking that's not what she was doing. She tried to pretend like we were stupid. Like, hey, go ahead and monetize your divorce, boo, but don't try to trick me into being part of that. Let's be in it together. You know what I'm saying? So then I said, wouldn't it be funny if I did that? If I just announced to my audience, hey, I'm getting a divorce. I'm writing my memoirs and I'm not going to hide the ball. I'm going to tell you about it the entire time. I'm not going to tell you about it in a year when I'm healed. I'm not going to tell you about it in 10 years when I learned the lesson from it. I'm going to tell you now. And then I was like, oh my God. And now here's the last piece of the puzzle, which was up until that moment, I wasn't writing a book. And I had always told my friends and my colleagues and myself, I was very relaxed about my book, meaning I'm not in a rush to write a book just because it'll help my speaking opportunities, or it'll make me look like an expert, or it'll build my brand, which are all the reasons that business owners specifically are encouraged to write books. I was like, fuck that. I'm sorry. That's a waste of my time and energy. It make my skin crawl to imagine writing a book for the pure purpose of looking like an expert versus wanting to actually share my expertise with the world. So I was like, dude, I'm not in a rush to write a book. The day that my book is ready, it'll show up at my door and it'll say, announce itself and say, hey, I'm here, let's go. And I'll probably be annoyed because I'll be like, oh shit, now I got to write you, you asshole. I'm overwhelmed already. So that's what happened in the shower that day, a couple weeks ago, or a month ago or something. I got the idea, the book was here, and it started as a joke. But then I'm like, oh, but that's exactly the point. I'm a business comedian. Of course I should make my book a joke and a serious thing at the same time. So long story short, that's it. That's what we're talking about. That's the story. Here we are, Vicky. What do you think? I'm scared, but I'm going for it.
I think that was a hell of a shower.
Well, oh my God. I mean, I owe royalties to the water industry, right?
And I also love what you're doing because there's so many shoulds in the business world. And by the way, like I don't even know which one of these points to jump on first, but my raison d'etre is to not work with people who just want a marketing tick box. Here is a book to it just makes me, books are important, more important than that. And so that, like, yes, claps, clicks. And then the other thing is just the business world being full of shoulds, and this is how we should behave, and don't show this and don't do that. And you're like the absolute antithesis of all of that, which is why you're here and why we're talking, because I was just like, this woman is goals. So tell me about the things that you're trying to fix in the business world, or that you would like to help fix in the business world. How can we be better?
Oh, this morning as I was preparing to talk to you, I kind of got another piece of this message, like, because I feel like I've been downloading just, truth. And I know that sounds weird. Speaking of what you don't talk about, I said this to some of my friends. I was like, I feel like I'm getting a message a couple months ago. And then they called the cops on me basically because they thought I was insane. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm getting messages from the universe about my purpose in the world. And they're like, so you're hearing voices is what's going on. I'm like, no. Anyway, so what am I trying to fix? I was thinking about this before I got on this interview with you, and I had this really clear vision and just a sense of, I was listening to Taylor Swift, and I was listening to her song, You Need to Calm Down, and thinking about the double entendre of the words in those lyrics, and how, it's you need to calm, you need to calm down, you're being too loud, are the lyrics. And I was thinking about her and her career and her trajectory and the ways in which she had to dig her way out of the patriarchy and being commodified, and the ways that she realized midway along that she was like, oh my God, all these people took advantage of me. They used my genius to make themselves rich. And now I don't even own my own music, right? She woke up to that. I think that Taylor Swift became a feminist over the years because she realized her own oppression and then was like, what the fuck? And then she identified with all these movements and we're like, oh, they're just like me, we're together. Isn't that how it works? So, I mean, I think that is the only way. As spoken as an upper middle class privileged white woman, I do believe that going at that, having something fucked up happen to you is a gift, because then you can have that gateway into compassion to say, oh, wait a minute. Now I see it everywhere. It's happening everywhere. All these things that are happening in the world. And unless you've suffered in some way, it's really hard to see that, I think, on a spiritual level. So I'm thinking about Taylor Swift, and I'm thinking about how she woke up to it, I think, 10 years in. I don't even think she realized this was happening until a few years ago, honestly. And maybe it doesn't even fully realize it yet. She's in her own journey. But she had to work so hard to liberate herself. And then you can see it in her music and her lyrics and the evolution of her brand, of her art. And then I thought, a lot of people would look at Taylor Swift with envy and say, oh, I wish I had her audience, her platform, her whatever. And sure, I mean, yeah, 100%. Just, I want fucking 10% of her budget just to do cool shit that I can't do because I don't have any money, right? Fuck. At the same time, I thought, poor Taylor. I thought, I was like, dude, I feel pretty fortunate to have complete agency over my body of work, to have never had a business partner and never been plucked. I had some really predatory clients along the way, men specifically, and women, but I was never plucked up I see some of my friends in the industry are plucked up by thought leaders, like the Jasmine Stars and the Amy Porterfields and the Marie Forleos will see a rising star and grab them and take their best creative years to build those brands. And I feel fortunate that for a while, I felt like an outsider, like nobody loves me, nobody wants me. None of these big names want to even acknowledge that I exist. Like what the fuck? Some of them, I can see that they watch my Instagram stories, by the way. Some of those names I just mentioned, right? And I'm like, they know who I am. Like, and they won't even acknowledge my humanity. And at first I was upset. And now I was like, oh, that's a gift, because it means I have complete agency over my work. So what do I want to fix? I want to help specifically and non-binary individuals, people on the margins, to have agency over their lives in every single way. And I think that, you know, the man is going to brand you for you, or you can brand yourself. Like you can, like the man is going to monetize your pain. The man already has. How about that? The system, the patriarchy, capitalism, whatever you want to call it, the powers that be have already monetized our pain, every single type of pain. Every type of pain is already monetized. It's literally what our entire fucking world is built on, right? So now I'm saying, taking it back, just like Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's pain was monetized by someone else that got richer than her for her pain. Excuse me? Now look at every other marginalized group in the world, and you tell me how the powers that be haven't gotten rich off of somebody else's pain. So what I'm doing is saying, I want to take it back. This is fucked. I'm not going to fix it, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to try to help people within it take agency over their own shit. If somebody's going to be making money off of my pain, certainly the system is never going to stop making money off my pain, but I'm going to make money off of it too. That's what I want to fix.
Love it. that was a pretty good mic drop moment. And she's back. No, I love all of that, because like everything you said is so right. It's like the system is fucked. Well, the system does what it was designed to do, which screws over a lot of, 99%, I would say, including a lot of white men, by the way. It screws everybody over. And so, yeah, it's just, I love
even people at the top. Like, let's even like be compassionate for just a fucking hot second. Sorry, I apologize.
No, go.
But even like, I'll go somewhere that most people have a hard time going with compassion, which is Donald Trump. Okay. But okay, when I'm really zen, okay, and it's not when I'm triggered, by the way, it's not when I'm triggered, but when I'm zen and I'm in a loving place with myself and the planet, I can sit and look at him and say, okay, first of all, nobody loves this man. And I mean, nobody. It is very clear that there's not a single person on this planet that loves Donald Trump, including him, right? And he knows it, and he always has, or he has for a long time. That was part of how he was damaged. So, but however, he is very rewarded for bad behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like in every single way, financially rewarded for bad behavior. And this is not just Trump. We actually reward bad behavior across the board. Our entire system is set up to normalize bad behavior, or like, well, I would say harmful behavior, and call it the economy, right? So I look at somebody like Donald Trump, who is one of the victors in this situation, if you look in a way, but at the very same time is very clearly a victim at the same time. Bezos, you don't think he's a victim? Elon Musk, you don't think these people? Now, just because they're victims doesn't mean that we shouldn't hold them accountable. It doesn't mean that they're not pieces of ass. I mean, like, they are so disconnected from their own goodness, is my theory, that they're just too far gone. They're like, they've lost their minds, they've lost their hearts. It's not that they never had it. It's just, you know, but where I'm going to get to here is even the ones at the top, even the 0.0001% are not happy. They're miserable. They're in a prison of their own, not even their own making really, but certainly that benefits them. And yet, you know, if you look at somebody that has all the wealth in the world and they're still miserable, right? Then we realize that all of us are victims of this. In fact, the system doesn't give a fuck about any of us. The system we designed, and we keep thinking that we're going to earn some sort of like prize for like being loyal, like brand loyal to capitalism. Capitalism doesn't care about anyone, including itself. Honestly, it's like it is a cancer, and it's like COVID, right? It's a virus. I don't know. I'm not good at it. I'm not a scientist. I'm going to stop with the analogies, but you get it. Right?
I do get it, because it's like, I am far from being an economist. I don't understand any of that stuff. But what I do think I understand is that eternal growth is not sustainable. It's like, where are you going to go with that? And I don't, you know, that whole idea of growth being the goal, like economic growth, I mean, being the goal for everything. It's like, well, where do you go with that? It's like, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but it's not what we've got right now. And the thing that frustrates me so much is the lack of willingness for people to try something else. And I would have thought that COVID would be the perfect opportunity for everyone to go, look how fucked this system is. It can't stand up to this global pandemic. Everything is fucked. So is it not a good idea to look at another way? And
but it is happening. Did you see that, Vicky? Don't you see people waking up? Now, for me, what I'm going to say is that I observe, and obviously this is a myopia of my own design, but I observe artists waking up. And I think that we are, like, everyone I know is a creative. Like, most of the people that are still in my life are creatives. And every creative I know is going through a huge renaissance. It's being, like, awakened. It's like we're being activated, okay? And now here's the thing. I believe every human being is an artist and every human being is a creative. And every human being is a genius, is my personal conviction. But the people who have already been embracing their art and know themselves and have embraced and are living in their truth as artists, we are being activated. We're being called into service. And I've seen that. I'm getting chills, so I know it's true. I got chills, so I know it's true. It's not that it's cold, it's that I'm right. No, but I'm kidding. But like, I've seen this last year of like, every creative I know has been like, wait a minute, fuck this. Every creative I know has been like, wait a minute, I'm done. I'm done with the old way. I'm done with the lies. I'm done lying to myself. I'm done lying to my audience. I'm done pretending. So I see that. Now, the masses have been trained so well. So I try to like reduce my judgment when again, Zen state, when I'm in a loving place. I can reduce my judgment and say, well, these people that I look at, the non-maskers, the anti-maskers, or the people who are out there just like, I don't know, just all the things that are out there, champions for Donald Trump or champions of activism or whatever. I'm like, they have been trained, period, end of story. In fact, I'm sorry, but to go back to your first question, how much shit am I getting for this, Vicky? I'm strong in my iconoclasm, like in my being an outsider. I've always been a strong, happy, proud outsider. And I am barely even touching the edges of this industry. Barely. I barely tipped my damn toe into what is possible beyond what we've been told we should do. And the amount of resistance I'm experiencing is scary to me because I'm like, okay, this upsets me on behalf of anybody who doesn't have the like vulva of steel that I have here. Like, because I'm really, really practiced in at least continuing to go my own way, even if everybody tells me I'm wrong. Yeah. So now I'm doing it, I'm just pushing it a little further than I was before, just a little bit. And the resistance is so strong, it's proving to me that what I'm doing is correct. That like, I'm like, oh shit, if I'm pushing just a tiny bit and I'm a privileged, middle-class white woman who kind of looks the part in all the ways and knows how to say the right things, if I'm getting this much resistance, how does my audience feel? The ones who aren't strong at this because they haven't been forced to do this their whole lives like I have, right? So now I'm pissed. Now I'm like, well, this isn't right. This isn't right that I'm getting treated this way and I have privilege. And if I'm getting treated this way, I know that people with less privilege or with different types of personality strengths or talents or gifts or life history, they're not ready. They're not ready for this. So I don't know. That's how I kind of feel, Vicky, is like, I do think that people are waking up and that some of us are being activated. And if you are hearing this and you have felt that little pickle in yourself that says, I'm done with this bullshit, whatever that means to you, I would say you're hearing this for a reason. And I'm here to tell you that is not a coincidence. That little voice, that little tickle, that little feeling of, oh, wait, there's got to be more. This is bullshit is right. Follow that feeling. Follow the feeling that says there's got to be more than this. I'm looking out at suburbia right now. I'm looking at gorgeous, gleaming, homogenized suburbia. And I'm like, and I grew up here and I remember as a child being like, there's gotta be more. And guess what? To my great relief, there is. This is not the world, right? Does this make sense what I'm saying, Vicky?
Yeah, and as you were talking then, because I've seen the same thing, and I've seen people doing the most incredible things throughout lockdown, and what I haven't seen is people at the top looking at a different way, which I understand why, because they think it serves them and all the rest of it. But everything that you've just said, if you're listening to this and you've listened to all that and you've thought, yeah, it's really painful and scary, and yes, it is painful and scary. Like literally, whenever you say anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, it's almost, if you're not being a shit, it's almost certainly a good thing to do, but it's really scary. So I reckon that if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, what can I do to start changing things? Just start really small. Start by speaking about things. They're tiny beetle steps. Start by speaking about things that mean something to you. We can't all be RKA. We're not all that personality. We can't all be the Saturday Night Live of business comedy. And, we shouldn't be, because you're you and everyone else is everyone else. But like the little things that we can do to start changing the world, because that's how the world changes, right? With tiny steps that snowball into big shit.
And I'm not. So first of all, if you do see me and you're like, wait a minute, well, what if I am archaic? What if I'm bigger than crazier and wilder and more edge walking than archaic? I say, go for it, please show me up. I dare you. Call me, text me, and show me what you're up to, because I love that shit. But what I would also say is, I'm purposely the more I walk the edge and the more resistance I get, the more I'm called to walk to see how much further I can go, because I want to be the walking of example of. I'm not saying I don't want anyone to try to don't do what I'm doing. Go, please join me. Let's do this together. I'm lonely as hell. But what I mean is, I'm walking the edge to be the example of the extreme, to get this out of the way, to clear the path so that the former version of extreme is no longer the version of extreme, right? I'm trying to expand. And so to go back to that question of what am I trying to fix? I'm not trying to fix anything myself, because nothing can be fixed just with me, right? I can fix me though. But what I'm trying to simply do is expand the area and the opportunities that exist for other people, right? And also to help people think about the ways they can do that. So like you said, it is just tiny. Unfortunately, it's not even just that it just starts with one little thing, just to make it seem less intimidating. No, that's the only way. It is the only way. Anytime, let's bring it back to the social issues. When white women typically wake up to their own privilege, typically the knee-jerk reaction is to say, let me go fix this right away. Let me go, I'm immediately going to act as though it's an emergency that I just discovered and that I am going to fix it. Me. With whatever I'm about to do. I'm going to come up with I've seen people do this and all these, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And in reality, that's a privilege and a very myopic and very privileged way of looking at it. This is a problem that I can go fix and then go back to my life, because that's what this is all about. Emergency, I got to go fix this so I can go back to my life. And it's no. I regret to inform you that once you wake up, you're not you can go back to sleep, but you know what the consequences are. It's like being in a zombie movie. If you go to sleep, they're going to get you. You know what I'm saying? So once you wake up, you got to be awake, and there's nothing but tiny beetle steps now. Every day. And most of them are thankless. And especially if you're doing the work to make a better world, the steps are often thankless, often painful, often uncomfortable. And very rarely do we see the fruits of our labor, which is not a capitalist concept. We're used to being work hard, get rewarded, get a pat on the back and an award and a freaking gold star on the wall or whatever, right? And the reality, and this isn't just the work of social justice. This is the work of building a business. This is the work of working on ourselves. This is the work of all of it. The work is not one and done and then we move on and go back to, no, the work never ends. The work is a spiral instead of being a race that you run. It's a constant process. It's a ritual, if you will. And people don't like that because it means they want that sense of completion, and they want that cookie in that backpack and that you did a good job. And they also want to get back to their privilege. They want to get back to the comfort, the warm bath of privilege that they were in, and they're feeling very cold. You get out of the shower or the bath and you're really cold and you're like your body, it's all evaporating, all the things, I don't know, science is happening to you. And you're that's the feeling, except, you're always going to be cold for the rest of your life in this work. Oh, doesn't that suck? So that's why as spring comes here, we're recording this in the spring. That's why just a little bit of sun is so fucking healing, right? And that's what I want to be for people That's what this book is supposed to be. That's what my movement is trying to be. That's what I'm trying to be, is a little bit of sunshine in the midst of a painful, uncomfortable, cold journey, which is the journey of life, right? And the journey of building a business and the journey of all of it.
And I love that because it is hard. It's always going to be hard. It's never going to end, but that doesn't mean that it has to be completely joyless. And that's what I love about what you do, is you do the good work and you bring the joy as well, which is just, I think, the perfect balance. And you're using
the joy is the work. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. And this is another thing we look for we look for joy in the wrong places. We look for reward in the wrong places. It's like, go look at a fucking daffodil. There is joy.
Well, it's like we have like joy is for later. Like we are like, no, I'm doing my business. I'm on the clock now. I'm doing my morning routine. I'm doing my business. I'm working now. Joy is for my lunch break. Joy is for at 5 p.m. Joy is for a happy hour. And it's like, no, joy is for every moment of the day. So it's certainly in a daffodil. And you're allowed to look at that daffodil and enjoy that daffodil at 11:13 a.m. for no good damn reason. And you don't have to be on a break to do it. I think, going back to that question of what do you want to fix? I certainly want to open up the opportunities for us to rethink what our days look like, to rethink thanks to the internet. And yes, what you just said, we've accelerated by this pandemic. We can see now that the 9 to 5 doesn't need to exist anymore. It doesn't. Not as the only, literally, people do not need to get a job at the age of 24 and work the same 9 to 5 schedule for 50 years. And that was one gift that I was given when I did leave the United States and saw the world and saw that in other economies, in non-blue collar economies, or white collar, in working class economies and areas of the world, there is no 9 to 5, there is no white collar, there is no cubicle, there is no business suit. I remember living in the mountains of Chiapas, Mexico, and I did not see anybody in a suit unless it was a wedding. That was it, a wedding or a funeral, that's it. And it would be like, whoa, somebody's in a suit, what's going on? And so breaking free of the 9 to 5 and the workday was existed for someone else to monetize our pain. Okay. So all of it, right? That is the beauty. And that's where I go back to saying, those of us who have the ability to build our own businesses really can take agency over every aspect of our lives in a very radical way. And I know that a lot of activists and feminists would say, oh, individual action isn't the answer. Correct. It's not going to fix anything, but it certainly is going to make a meaningful difference in the lives of each individual who gets agency over themselves. That's worth it. It doesn't matter. My one individual experience of this world is important, right? So even if helping individual business owners to create their own brands isn't dismantling capitalism in and of itself, which is not necessarily my goal at all, because I don't think it can be done. I think it's going to happen naturally. It's already happening. I don't think we're going to overthrow the system. I think what we're going to do is we're going to prepare our children to build a new world. And that's what I'm doing.
That is a bit of a mic drop moment, and whilst I'm gonna have to get you back, Rach, because I want to talk to you when you're a bit further along with your book. We need to come back and we need to talk about what's going to be in the book, because I've just noticed the time and I'm like, my 30-minute podcast is longer than 30 minutes, but that's cool. Thank you so much. Before you go, which I do not want you to do, but you're going to have to because you have a life as well. Can you tell us where we can find out more about you and where we can find out more about your book?
So to find out more about my book, you can go to sawthiscomingamileaway.com, which you can actually pre-order the book. And if you join the first 500 people to pre-order, it's $7 to pre-order. If you join, your name will be in the book if you choose to share it. So first 500 people, I'm putting their names in the book that pre-order. Because again, speaking of taking agency back, instead of, chasing an agent and a publisher around, which I totally intend to do, but I could get a book advance or I could pre-sell my book, and that's what I'm doing. Now, it certainly isn't going to rival the book advance I could get from a publisher, but it's better than zero, right? So I've already had, and over, I think now that I look there, saw this coming a mile away. Let's see where I'm at with my goal. I think I was 61% the last time. I haven't really been pushing it though. 63% of my 500 person pre-order goal. Yeah. So how about that, Apple? So yeah, go to sawthiscomingamileaway.com. And the truth is, if you look up RKA, the internet will tell you where to go. The answers are everywhere. I'm everywhere. Everywhere internets are sold. You can find an RKA there. So yeah.
And all of your links are going to be in the show notes. So if you're listening to this, also, I am one of the people who has pre-ordered your book. I'm really looking forward to reading it. Go pre-order Rachel's book. It's going to be hilarious and eye-opening. I know that. I already know that, even not knowing anything that's going to go in it. And yeah, just thank you so much for coming and dropping the mic so many times on this show. I would love you to come back in a couple of months when you're a bit further down the road. We'll talk about your book and the writing process, I hope, and do a little bit more setting of the world to rights. So Rachel, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I will see you again soon. Thanks so much for listening / watching the interview that I've just done with Rachael Kay Albers. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it got you thinking about what you want to do with your business, what you want to write, how you want to make your life and the world a little bit better. Tiny beetle steps, remember? And on that note, go find out more about Rachel. You can Google Rachael Kay Albers. You can find her on instagram.com/Rachael Kay Albers. That's Rachel with an extra A. And if you go to sawthiscomingamileway.com, you can find out all about her upcoming book. I will absolutely be getting Rachel back to talk about her book and the book writing process when she's a little bit further along. So look forward to that. And in the meantime, if you're writing your own book, then I have a masterclass on Monday evening, 7 p.m. BST. You can grab yourself a place. It's only £100 if you're in the UK, including VAT. And it's all about originality and how originality is wildly misunderstood and also wildly overrated. We don't really know what we're talking about when we're saying just be yourself, just be unique, all of that kind of stuff. So if that idea has ever held you back from writing your book, from speaking your truth, from telling your story, you need to get yourself on my masterclass, because I'm going to bust a bunch of myths. I'm going to help you break through any blockages that you've got about being yourself and how to do that, because it's such bullshit advice. And also about how to never be stuck for good ideas, never be stuck for creativity, never be stuck for originality. I promise you will come out of the masterclass feeling like you are the most creative person in the world, because you are. We all are. And on that note, I will be back same time next week. Joe will be back with me. We'll see you then. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening. You can find links and show notes on the website at moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast, where you can also sign up for the best daily emails in the multiverse and find loads of free resources to help you write your book. We'll be back the same time next week with more tales from the book writing trenches and the latest on what the tiny sheeps have been up to.